Welcome back to Collegiate Sports Connect. We're here in Nashville for the 2025 NCAA Convention. I'm excited to sit down today with Mario Morris, Senior Vice President of Administration and Chief Financial Officer at the NCAA. Everyone wants to talk to you this week.
Yes, they do. Yeah.
So yesterday in his State of College Sports address, Charlie Baker announced lots of exciting numbers. So I'm going to get the real info from you. The national office is now debt-free, and core operations costs have dropped from 16% to 12% of revenue. Talk to me about the significance of that and how you achieve that.
Yeah. It's great to be with you. It was big. I think that a lot of the efforts that we put in over the past few years have worked. We've increased revenues and decreased expenses at the same time, and so it's been a really great effort by our whole team. There's not just one person that stewards this big ship, financial ship, anywhere you go. And so it takes a team to do that. And everybody's come along, which is really good. So we're excited. We had the increase in our CBS contract. We negotiated the new ESPN contract for our other championships. We also, when Charlie came in, we had a business review done. And so we looked at a lot of our expenses and we made a commitment to reduce our expenses last year. And due to the House settlement, we made another commitment to reduce our expenses this year. And so our whole team is looking for ways to become more efficient and reduce expenses. And so, because that money goes back to the membership and ultimately benefits our student athletes. So it's really important.
Absolutely. And I'm sure that the idea of a business review and looking at all the expenses is a little bit terrifying for some folks in a department or an office. But I'm sure it's also exciting in a way to see what things are really getting spent. We anticipate that ticket sales are going to generate $100 million more than anticipated. TV revenue up by $180 million. Talk to me about those numbers.
So as I mentioned, the CBS contract increases were negotiated a few years ago, but I'm happy to say that I was helping to be a part of a team with led by Charlie and Dan Gavitt to negotiate a new ESPN contract for other championships, where we were able to get true value for the women's basketball championships and our other championships, and so that's really, really big. I think we've outperformed with ticket sales, and our sports are exciting, and people want to come watch us, watch our student athletes, and so we're really excited about that. A few years ago, again, ticket revenue, we forecasted in fiscal year 23. What we're forecasting this year, is almost $100 million more. And that's huge. And we think there's more room. And that's, just by having more people come out and support us. And so, we have modest, increases, but it's really bringing out more people. It's using our fan database, using our fan data to reach out and connect with people who are really interested in getting them to come out to the events.
Talk to me about, we hear a lot about the fan database and all of the people in there now and all the potential there. How are you interacting with that from your role as CFO?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I've always had a penchant for data. I hired our first data analytics professional at Wisconsin. I created the data analytics department when I was at Notre Dame because we knew that that's where the growth strategy was, right? Expanding your fan base, learning more about your fans, catering to them. And so that's been something that's been very familiar to me, throughout, my time in college athletics. I'm a big data person, as you might think, a finance person. I'm a big data person. And I just really, really enjoy it. And so when the opportunity came about, when I first got here, I realized that we didn't have a fan database. And so when Charlie came aboard, he and I had that discussion. And so, we made the investment in it, and it's a big investment, but it's going to pay off not only for the NCAA. There's probably an opportunity to pay off for our membership as well. There may be an opportunity for us to exchange some data or to help them, promote and market their events as well.
The national office is going to cover at least $180 million of the $280 million first-year costs of the House settlement. This is big. How significant is that for the membership? What does it mean for them?
Yeah, so it's $120 million of the first 280. Steph, you're trying to make me make another promise. Yes, no, it's 120. Of the 280. So we've committed to that each year, and that's a combination of things for us. It's using some of the reserves, it's using some of our what we call net assets, which is profit each year, and it also includes the savings, the budget cuts that we made in the national office. And so, again, we're very excited to be able to contribute. Now, 120 million is a minimum that the national office is going to contribute. We're going to try to do more for our membership. You know, that's a big, you know, the deduction that they're taking out of their revenue distributions, it's big for them, and we realize that, and we're trying to do everything possible to be able to mitigate that sum and reduce their burden. And so we were happy to be able to put forward the plan that we did and have the committees and the board approve it. And now it's just time for us to execute on it.
Speaking of executing, what are some top of mind priorities for you as we start this new year?
Yeah, well, you know, at first I'd have to say, you know, some of the things we've done, you know, with our post-eligibility insurance. So we've been able to focus on health and safety. We've been able to focus on increasing benefits for our women's sports. So hopefully we get the vote of approval for our women's basketball units plan to where we can reward performance. We're really excited about that. We have a vote also on the women's wrestling championship, and so we're really excited about that. So investing in our women's championships are really, really important, and that's something that we're very proud of. You know, some of the other opportunities that I think we have are to continue investing in our championships. You know, a postseason championship is probably one of the most memorable expenses for a student athlete. I participated in 4 bowl games, so every year I was at Alabama, I participated in a postseason event, and they are the most memorable experiences, and we want to do more there. And so, you know, we're trying to balance our priorities, but we want to invest in those championships more. We also, you know, have to be aware of the litigation that's going on right now, and you know, that's something that we've got to, you know, it can be influenced sort of by policy and by other things, and something we've got to pay attention to. So it's a financial priority for us. Revenue generation also is a financial priority for us, and so we have a revenue committee internally led by Charlie, and we vet revenue opportunities. We take a look at our existing opportunities. We take a look at, you know, some future opportunities, and we'll be executing a bunch of those coming up soon. So those are the things that, you know, we are looking at. We also have to be mindful of what the Division I governance structure looks like and the changes that come about there. Do those cause us to look at things differently financially? So there's a lot to keep on our mind and to keep up with.
A lot. You are busy. I want to reflect for 1 second on the championships. I was a cross-country and track student athlete, and those experiences, that's the pinnacle. And I was fortunate to have a post-collegiate professional experience, but so many, you know, that's a 1% of the 1% who get to do that. And so being there and that experience is not just formative, but it's sometimes everything for student athletes.
That's right. We're committed to doing more there. You know, we have Linda Teeler that joined our group, and Dan Gavitt, and so, you know, that's been with us for a while, and so I'm working with them to try to figure out sort of how can we enhance those experiences for our student athletes, because that's really the best thing that NCAA does are the postseason championships.
Absolutely. Well, you were, of course, you mentioned a student athlete at a little program in the South, and of course you're an athletics administrator. Talk to me about what student athletes are going through these days, and your perspective, and in hindsight, what you would advise some of the student athletes as they're navigating all of these changes.
So the little school I went to was Alabama. Was fortunate enough to be on a national championship football team when I was there. I wouldn't presume to fully know what student athletes are going through now, although I teach courses at some of our schools, athletic administration courses, and I have student athletes in there, so I learned a little bit more. As you mentioned, I was at Wisconsin and Notre Dame, so I had student athlete interaction. But what I'm seeing right now is they're trying to figure out the world and sort of the relationship between the university, their athletic department, and the student athlete. And what does that look like going forward? And I think that it would behoove all of us to really keep the student athlete centered as the center of our focus. And how can we support them? How can we develop them and not let sort of the outside things sort of get in the way? Yes, it may become more of a contractual relationship in some ways, but we still have to support them career-wise and help them develop as people. And I think that's really, really important. You know, Notre Dame has a really great program that they kicked off called Life After Notre Dame LAN, and it was started by an alum, and because he really cared about the student athletes after they left, and so sort of a lifelong commitment to helping them, you know, whether it be mental health, you know, financial literacy, finding a job. And I think those are the things, for me, I would want to see our colleges and universities invest there. Because yes, they may be, having more resources, but what are they going to do with it? And will they leave, the colleges and universities with the skills and the tools that they need? That's the important thing for me.
Speaking of investment on the campus level, the big buzzwords right now and the biggest concerns are revenue sharing and potential revenue sharing models. How can the NCAA support schools? What can they do for schools as they kind of work through this?
Yeah, that's a great question. And at first blush, I would say it's sort of limited. I think there are opportunities for us to help. We loosened the rules on sponsorship logos on the field. And I know some schools have already taken advantage of that and are gaining more revenue. I think we should probably look for more opportunities where we may be able to relax some of the rules or change some of the rules to allow our schools to monetize, different assets more. That's one thing. The other thing, I think, and I mentioned our fan database that we're creating. I think we will be able to help our schools, market and promote their events, and hopefully have them gain, more attendance at their events and more ticket revenue and other types of revenue. And so, we're working on a pilot program right now to where we're discussing sort of exchanging data, and there's a lot to work through there, but I think it'll be beneficial for us and for them.
Last big question for you here. The NCAA recently started offering the post-eligibility insurance. I want to hear more about that. And there was just a news item in D1 Ticker today about Ohio State wide receiver Jeremiah Smith getting permanent total disability insurance that will protect him, against career-ending injuries. Yeah. Talk to me a little bit about the NCAA's program and then just broadly about this move.
Protecting the health and safety of the student athletes has been one of the first charges of colleges and universities since President Theodore Roosevelt brought all the presidents together and said, you got to make this safer. That's been one of the core things that we're responsible for. And so we're really excited. We've had the catastrophic health insurance for a number of years, a number of decades. But we have, when Charlie came aboard, and I'm happy to help to lead this effort of establishing the post-eligibility insurance and having the membership vote on that and approve that for all of our student athletes, Division I, Division II, and Division III. I think it's remarkable, that now that student athletes for athletically related injuries have insurance coverage for up to 2 years after they leave the university. It's just trying to make sure that they're in a good position, as they leave the university. And so we're really excited about that. We've already had the coverage went into place August 1st of last year. And so we've actually already received some claims and approved some claims. So it's working. And so we're really excited about that. Student athletes have actually been able to file their own claims, and again, many of them have been approved. So we're really excited about that program and the protection of our student athletes and really making them whole, sort of as they leave the university.
So much momentum right now for the members, for the student athletes, and of course for the national office. Mario, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.